ready for the fight. Voices loud, they take the stand. Who will lead the promised land? Promises flying, hearts ignite. Truth and lies will take the mic. The clock is ticking, make your choice. Who you hear, the people's voice. It's in the ballot, it's in your hand. The future's calling, take a stand. One vote, one dream, one destiny. Who will wear the crown in 2025? We'll see. Words are weapons wielded, strong debates get heated. Right or wrong, they paint the town with visions bold. Who will rise, who will fold? Shadows linger, truth will stand. The battle rages from within. One by one they state their case, but only one can win this race. Who will lead this, win this race? It's in the ballot, it's in your hand. The future's calling, take a stand. One vote, one dream, one destiny. Who will wear the crown in 2025? We'll see. We'll see. Promises flying, hearts ignite. Truth and lies will take a mic. The clock is ticking, make your choice. Will you hear the people's voice? It's in the ballot, it's in your hand. The future's calling, take a stand. One vote, one dream, one destiny. Who will wear the crown in 2025? We'll see. Words are weapons wielded, strong debates get heated. Right or wrong, they paint the town with visions bold. Who will rise, who will fold? Shadows linger, truth will stand. The battle rages from within. One by one they state their case, but only one can win this race. Who will lead this, win this race? It's in the ballot, it's in your hand. The future's calling, take a stand. One vote, one dream, one destiny. Who will wear the crown in 20?
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. And for the 4 p.m. Southern Ward Show, I am your host, Laura. And look at all of these candidates that have turned up. This is the first time this has ever happened to me. So, wow, okay, I'm so glad that I wrote everyone's names down. Okay, yes. And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and a warm tēnā koutou katoa to everyone that is watching online. I am your host, Laura, and we are joined today by 10 wonderful candidates. I did count before I started. And so this is how it's going to work, ladies and gentlemen. We have a total of 26 questions and 3 hard-hitting questions. Each candidate here has 2 button cards. So basically, if Hamish answers a question and one of the other candidates wants to also answer the question, they can use one of their button cards. We also have a defer card. So if Hamish doesn't want to answer it, sorry, I don't mean to single out Hamish, it's just because he's the closest to me. But using Hamish as an example for tonight, so each candidate's got a defer card, so if they really don't want to answer a question, they can give it to someone else to answer. Alrighty, so with that said, we're going to start off with opening statements. Well, since I've been singling out Hamish, let's start with you.
Thank you, everyone. I'm Hamish Blythe. I live in Coomera and I live and work in the Southern Ward. I've come here from a background of helping connect Tararua, which has increased the cell phone coverage throughout the district, and we work to continue to do it. My 3 goals that I want to achieve is 1, is obviously improve connectivity, 2, make sure we get stuff done, and 3, increase our rating database so that we actually have more money to spend and more money to do things. And if I was to add a 4th one, and I'd be looking to find ways to reduce council debt. I'd like to think that I'm always approachable. People can usually find me fairly easily, and that would be about it. Thank you.
Alrighty, and I'll pass it over to Ethan for their opening statement.
Good afternoon. For those who don't know me, my name is Ethan Hendry. I'm 18 years old. I live in Woodville, and I moved with my family at the beginning of 2024. Originally, I'm from the Kapiti Coast, and currently I attend Tararua College as a Year 13 student. I'm putting my foot in the door to become a councillor candidate for this election. I believe that there is so little representation of youth around the council table, and I want to be one of those people that everyone looks up to in the future.
And I must say, it is very encouraging to see younger people running for council as well. I think that's fantastic. All right, now over to Peter John for their opening statement.
Thank you. My name is Peter Johns. I'm a 5th term current councillor. My intention to stand this time is purely based on some unfinished business. We have got 99% through a new district plan, which is vitally required to allow growth and growth that we can control and have paid for other than through existing ratepayers. The government in the interim has put a stop on plan changes that could create a situation where we sit on our hands for a year or 2 or longer. I believe that we have an opportunity to go to the minister right away, get a dispensation, and get on with the job of allowing growth and being able to control that growth.
All right, and now we'll go over to the other Peter, Peter Naylor.
Hi, I'm Peter Naylor from Woodville, and I have been in Woodville for about 5 years. I have a background in horticulture, building, and for the last 20 odd years in IT and telecommunications. In recent times, I've used my creative thinking and innovative thinking to build new products and services for telecommunications companies, and that's also requires strong relationship building skills. I like to think that I'm grounded, resourceful, innovative, and practical. And so I want to bring the skills that I've got to actually help think of new ways of getting revenue for the council rather than just relying on rates. So look forward to the questions. Thank you.
And Elizabeth.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Kennedy. I live in South Tararua. Have in the last 3 years. I'm a single mum, 3 young kids, and I live with my dad lives with me, so it's a very busy household. My background is nursing. I've been nursing for the last 14 years, currently as a district nurse. So my goals and for the council really is just the transparency and the well-being and increasing that, yeah.
Mark.
Kia ora koutou. My name is Mark Watson. I'm standing for the Tararua District Council because I believe in our district. I've lived in Eketahuna for the last 12 years, where my wife Alex and I own a home, pretty close to here actually. I've got a strong background in both agriculture and horticulture. Over the last 4 years, I've planted well over 30,000 native trees and plants within our region. My family has been involved in local body politics for 20 plus years, which has taught me a lot about listening and respecting the community's viewpoints. I'm a very keen student of history and social anthropology, and I think it's really important that we learn from our past, respect it, and respect our heritage as well. Thank you.
And Scott.
First of all, thank you very much to It's in the Ballot for holding today, and thank you all for coming along. I'm Scott Gilmore. I live just outside of Woodville. I have a background in business and finance, and I'm heavily involved in our local community. I have been proud to serve as one of your councillors for the last 3 years, and 2 of those years also serving on the Eketahuna Community Board, which was a great experience, and one that helped me actually see what was happening locally on the ground. I have a couple of key focus areas that I quickly want to talk about. The first is finances. Our rates are going up, but people can't afford to pay the bills. We need to get more creative, find different ways of doing things to be able to relieve the burden. And I also want to focus on better consultation, making sure that the communities are really reflected in all of the decisions we make. Thank you.
All right, this is where it gets really interesting because we've got to share mics down at the end over there. We actually ran out of microphones and cables. So Chris, for your opening statement.
My name's Chris Court. I grew up in Eketahuna. So welcome to In the Ballot to our district. I went to school in Tararua College. Since then I've worked as a mechanic. I've worked in Wellington and projects and IT and a whole bunch of other infrastructure projects. I moved back to Eketahuna and have started to get really involved with all of our community through our town, which is our local community group, the health centre, and I just locally have joined our local fire brigade and really enjoyed being part of that and establishing, the radio station back up again. So just working hard in the community, trying to build it out and really starting to see things starting to change in the council. Really wanting to push for more accountability and change towards things we're doing, sorting out our roading, sorting out our rates, and just getting involved with everything. So, thank you.
All right, and now Mike.
Mike Long. I've served the past 3 years as a Tararua District Councillor. I understand that some people may not be aware that I reside in the Northern Ward. However, my wife and I own a dairy farm in the southern Nuriha area and also the Northern Ward. So we pay rates in both areas. Thank you. I've been involved with my colleagues in addressing a few issues this year, including the Dannevirke impounded supply, the fluoridation of Dannevirke, and a number of other issues. My main concerns are the rates affordability for our citizens and transparency. Thank you.
All right, and last and not least, Evan.
Good afternoon. I'm Evan the Trass, known as Evan the Viking. I own the Vikings Hall in Woodville, which I came to Tararua and set up 20 years ago. Tararua has been very good to me. It's given me a business, it's given me a home, and it also gave me my wife. I'd been out of politics for a while, but made a comeback this year because I did not like the water plans. We may not have a lot of control with the government saying they must be amalgamated, but I fear that this is a repetition of the process with setting up LATEs and SOEs for those older people who remember how we were basically asset stripped of our electricity departments. Every department in the country that that gave government an income, council an income, they were taken off us. And water's going that way. They say it's going to cut your rates, but it's going to cost you a lot more to get your own water. So much more to talk about, but not enough time.
Alrighty, and I believe Sam has got a cable that he wants to hook up, so we'll just quickly let him hook that up and then we'll get on to the questions. This is the fun of live streaming, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. Alrighty, so we're going to get on to the questions now. Okay, so we're going to start with Evan. What number would you like to pick?
21.
21, okay. All right, question E for Eketahuna. Okay, how will you strengthen relationships between council and local hapu/iwi to achieve shared outcomes?
I see the local relationships with all the tangata whenua as extremely important. We have such a large, green, almost wilderness area that we need the local people who have that history and knowledge and background to be able to develop it safely, properly, and to preserve it for the future. I see ecotourism as one of our big potentials, and we can only get that by working together. Not only is it good for ecotourism, but I believe we have to work together for honouring of our Te Tiriti obligations. The local iwi have developed a lot of businesses already. We need to support those, increase those, work alongside each other to help generate more employment and bring more money into the area. It's only by working together that we can get ahead.
Alrighty, Chris, what number would you like to pick?
Lucky 13.
Lucky 13. Okay, X for X-ray. Let's get that up for you. There we go. As a councillor, how would you work collaboratively with your fellow councillors to deliver on your promises?
Firstly, I think the questions are not what we had. I have to check that, but that's okay.
Going on that old sheet on this right now is, do we get 4 p.m. or 6 p.m. on there?
4 p.m.
I'm going to be checking myself if these don't line up.
That's okay. I can talk to this anyway. So, as a councillor, how would you work collaboratively with your other councillors? I'm open to communication. So, I've worked in projects. I've worked in hundreds of projects, working with all sorts of different people. Making sure we communicate clearly is, I think, a very big part to building out any project, getting them across the line, and really allowing the right people to talk, getting the right, questions in front of the people who are making decisions, and then making sure accountability is put over everything. So, yeah, that's pretty much it.
Alrighty. And good on you for answering that question, even though it wasn't on your list of questions. Oh, okay.
It's on my list.
Well, it is what it is. I mean, these things do happen. That's the joy of live streaming. You know how transparent we're being, because the more mistakes you make, it's not edited. Yeah, it's just part of the fun. Okay, so Scott.
Box 1, please.
Which number would you like? 1. I like how you're thinking. Okay, we have H for Haswell Street. How accessible is the current Tararua District Council, and what steps would you take to improve its accessibility if needed?
It's a really good question. I'm going to tackle that in a couple of ways. I think we have really, really great customer service staff. I think when people go in and ask about a problem, they receive really good service. However, I think where we can improve is working on some of our consultation and looking at some of the follow through. I am really, really keen for councillors to hold consultation meetings and know that the people coming to these meetings will outnumber staff and councillors, because at the moment that isn't happening. And I think that's because people have lost trust in council and that we will actually be following through on what they're asking for. How would we improve it? I think that's going to be through our actions. We're going to have to demonstrate to people that we listen to them and that their views are at the heart of our decision making, and that's how we'll restore trust.
And we have a button from Peter Naylor.
Yeah, I'd like to fully support what Scott's saying there, and I think some of the ways that we can look at doing that are things like processes called citizens' assemblies. We actually get people from the community to volunteer to serve, and the citizens' assembly takes a cross-section of the whole population, so representatives from all the different areas, representatives of different genders, different age groups and everything else like that, and bring them all together so that they're actually consulted. And another way of doing that is actually through what's called collective intelligence processes, where it's a similar sort of thing where you get a group of volunteers from the community to contribute, and then they can put their ideas forward. So those are a couple of things that I'd like to see so that we can actually increase the engagement with council.
Alrighty, Ethan, what number would you like?
I'll take 15, please.
15, let's get that for you. Okay, P for Pahiatua. How will you ensure that Te Ao Māori influences climate resilience, water management, and land use planning?
So yeah, obviously they probably know the land better than all of us, and I'd ensure that their influences towards these things are considered heavily, and we work alongside iwi, hapu, and just anyone about this. Obviously, water management and climate change are big things with just the world going on. Obviously, we need to stay realistic though. We need to make decisions, and we can't spend months and months deciding a decision.
And we have a button from Peter Johns.
Thank you. Just following on from Ethan's comments, I think we all agree that the need to clean up the environment and keep it as clean as we possibly can, and we've gone a long way down that path. However, it has to be affordable. It's no good central government saying do this, do that, and throwing it onto the ratepayers when it's just simply unaffordable. We have that situation with wastewater now, hence the need to go into the CCO with the other three councils in the Wairarapa. I'm somewhat unsure as to whether we've done the right thing in doing that, but we are told that it will be cheaper all round by doing so. I guess time will tell whether that proves to be the case. But what central government needs to understand is that if they want to lift the bar all the time, they should put some money on the table, not expect the ratepayers to fund it all.
Alrighty, and thank you for that. And Hamish, what number would you like to pick, sir? 7. Okay, we have N for Newman Street. What is your position on maintaining or expanding Māori wards beyond the current term?
I think Māori wards have a lot to offer. The more people we get round the table, so to speak, the better. My thoughts are that by getting everyone around the table, we get better decisions ultimately. So I think that's the thing. As for expansion, I'm not quite sure, but I certainly think continuance is a good thing. I've seen Maori participation in action, and what I've seen of it creates a cohesive results, which ultimately are the best thing out.
Alrighty, and thank you for that. And Sam has just found the problem. We were asking questions from the 7 p.m. show, which is the Māori Ward show. So, I'm so sorry about that, guys. We will continue. We're now back on track with the correct questions. Okay.
I think you answered them well.
Okay, now we're back on track. Mark Watson, what number would you like to pick?
We'll go for number 20.
Number 20, okay. Get that down. Z for zebra.
Hasia.
Okay, there we go. Okay, what steps will you advocate for to make Tararua South more resilient to extreme weather events, floods and droughts?
Okay. We've seen firsthand the damage that storms, floods and droughts can cause. So resilience must be a priority. I'd certainly advocate for more native planting along waterways, stronger flood defences and investment into water storage. Council also needs to support robust emergency planning, working with iwi, farmers and local groups. Resilience isn't just about infrastructure, it's about preparedness, making sure communities know how to respond and have the tools they need. The more proactive we are now, the safer and more sustainable our ward will be.
And we have a button from Evan.
Horizons is responsible for controlling our waterways. So what we need to do is work very, very closely with our Horizons representative and work with iwi Horizons to try and make sure that our water defences are improved. We need to keep making sure that civil defence practices and has the resources that they need to be able to be there when we're needed. And I also want to see community resilience built by increasing community gardens and encouraging people to plant their own gardens. Because in the event of a disaster, if you've got a garden, you've got access to food in your own backyard. The same applies for things like water tanks. If you've got an individual supply, you have community resilience. A centralised supply can easily be knocked out because it's too many eggs in one basket. Community resilience starts at home.
Alrighty. Mike Long, what number would you like?
17.
17, yes, I can give you a 17. Okay, C for, I've got a lot of notes here. C for Church Street. Okay, how will you ensure rural and smaller communities in the Tararua South Ward have a strong voice at the council table?
It's about communication, and it's about this council has had open evenings for the community. Most of the community don't come along to those meetings, and without that, the council doesn't know. So we have had those meetings, no one is showing up. So it's up to the people to come and talk to us. Thank you.
And we have a button.
Thanks very much, and Mike is not wrong at all with what he's saying. However, it's incumbent on us to find ways to change that. You know, I talk to people all the time and I ask why people aren't coming along to these consultation sessions. And I hear all the time, what's the point? You've already made up your decision. What I think we need to do is flip consultation. We actually need to start it right at the start, not when a decision's already been made. Because what we're asking people to do is choose things that we've decided in the council table, and they get to choose a bad option or a worse option. Our people are incredibly smart and capable. We actually need to go to them with the problem and work on developing the solution with them. And when they see that that's happening, I think we'll get the buy-in, they'll see the change from that, and then we'll get people showing up. That's how they'll have a voice at the council table.
Yes, and we have another button.
Yeah, so communication to our council. We haven't really had a voice in council for a while in the past. Only recently have I started to notice that we're getting across to the council, that we're getting points across. In Eketahuna especially, our community groups are not talked to about things that are going on, and we really don't know what we can do. We don't have the assistance to get anything done, and I think it's something that there's just been a disconnect between what is being said and what we want, whereas actually what we do actually want. So I think with more talking with the right people, getting out into the environment, into the communities, and meeting with people, and actually hearing their voice and being there and being part of it is a big part to really our southern northern Tararua district. We want to see our area grow. We need that through communication. It starts at the council level, goes all the way into community board and into all the other community groups.
Okay, now Peter Johns, I got a bit distracted there for a second. Peter Johns, what number would you like?
I think it's 21.
21, let's have a look. No, 21 is taken.
Give me one.
Oh, I'll give you one, all right, okay. How about I give you a 2? Let's try another one. Q for Queen Street. What steps will you take to make this ward more climate resilient, especially around stormwater, flooding and green spaces?
A lot of work is currently being done and will continue to be done in that space. Cyclone Gabrielle has taught us a lot, not just in this district, but others as well. When it comes to roading, we've been hamstrung in over the years by NZTA, who pay the significant portion of the cost of roading. Currently, for every dollar spent on roading, 73% is paid by NZTA. Your rates pay the balance. So NZTA has a large part in what's done on the roads. But what they're not, in the past, what they've not allowed is if, for instance, there's flood damage and slips on a road, they will allow the clean-up job to be done, but no remediation work beyond that. In other words, by spending, while the guys are out there with the digger, extend the water drainage either side of the slip so that it doesn't happen again. They won't pay for that. They only pay for the slip to be cleared. Now, I guess what I'm saying is money needs to be spent on ensuring the slips don't come down. In situations where we know it's going to happen again, do the job once, do it properly, and if it means spending a bit of extra money, do it at that time, not wait for the next slip to come down. Insofar as housing is concerned, the current building.
Oh, you have gone over time, but I mean, it's a good answer, yes. That's worth a clap. Okay, Elizabeth, what number would you like?
8, please.
8?
Yes, please.
Yep. Okay, K for King Street. I think we've got one of those around here. Or let's just say Cody Place in Pahiatua. Alrighty, so rates have increased significantly in the last 3 years. What will you do to ensure affordability for ratepayers while still funding essential services?
I guess one option could be judging rates on, not going higher than the lowest person's average, like the average income. And I guess it really, because I haven't worked in council, but I guess it would require also consulting with what services are deemed essential as well. Things like the local water done well has been designed from central government to try and keep rates at a level that people can afford. But I think it's a group effort. It's not a simple answer.
Alrighty. And we have a button starting with Scott.
Thanks, and look, this is something, understandably, we hear all the time. Costs are going up and people are finding it more and more challenging to be able to pay the bills. We need to, and it isn't just a slogan, we need to do things differently. We need to look at every service we provide, make sure that we're getting value for money for it, and we need to look at creative solutions to be able to save money. Efficiency in councils has to be an absolute priority. In New Zealand, there are 67 city or district councils right throughout our country. All of them duplicate everything 67 times. Everyone has their own finance team. Everyone pays licenses to be able to run that. Everyone has their own communications team. Procurement, HR, legal, all of these things are being duplicated 67 times. What would that look like if we worked with other councils, shared resources, and saved some of your money?
And Mark, your button?
Yes. Like rates, as we know, they're one of the biggest concerns in our communities, especially in recent years, as they've risen sharply. My approach is to make affordability the starting point, not an afterthought. That means reviewing council spending first, protecting essential services like roads, water, and emergency planning, but cutting back on nice-to-have projects if budgets are tight. I'll push for external funding from government and other sources. I believe growing our population base is critical. More ratepayers sharing the cost makes it fairer for everyone. Essential services must be delivered, but residents must not be priced out of their own district.
And Evan, you want to use your button?
This document here was looking at the consultation on the long-term plan last year. It said that 34% of our people live in high deprivation. That implies that a lot of other people are in deprivation, so far more than just 34% are affected by high rates. We need to try and look for new income streams. We need to lobby the government for a greater share of the funding, because so many of the costs we are incurring are because government is putting pressure on us. You've got to do it, but we don't have the money. So government needs to step up and share. Also, we have to look at what the council's doing, because this document also, you probably all noticed, most of you had your rates go up last year, didn't you? Did you know that for the big high capital value industry and commercial, which means places like Fonterra, the council actually cut their rates? So how about not doing things like that? The people who can most afford it, who make massive profit, should be the ones that carry some of the cost on behalf of people.
And we have a button from Peter Naylor.
Yes, I'd like to think a little bit differently. Rather than just focusing on rates all the time, how about looking at other revenue streams? We've got wastewater treatment ponds that are sitting there. Could we get Meridian Energy, for instance, to put a solar farm across the top of it and pay us a lease for the use of that land? And there's other lands probably around as well that we could do. Are there other ways that we could raise revenue so that we can relieve the rates burden from council? So it's just thinking differently, as Scott's pointed out. Yes, we need to look at the costs, we need to look at how we can do the rates, but how else can we get revenue? And I've researched the things that councils are allowed to take minority shareholdings. Imagine if Wairau District Council, instead of just putting new roads in for Rocket Labs up in Gisborne, had actually taken a 1% equity in Rocket Labs. How much should I be reaping now in dividends? Can we think of things like that to actually increase our revenue?
And the classic trend with it's in the ballot, Peter Naylor, please pick a number.
Give me a random number, please.
Or I can give you a 3. Okay, what do we got here? S for Stanley Street. Here we go. What will you do to ensure fair access to community facilities, healthcare and social services for rural residents?
The healthcare is not actually a council responsibility. And so it's getting the access to the community facilities. I mean, we provide the facilities where healthcare can reside and other things like eyesights and information centres, etc. And it's practically impossible for us to be able to provide a facility in all the small rural residents. I think there's going to be a lot of change in technology, because one of the other questions that we've got on the list here is how will we improve transport? So I'm going to sneak a little cheeky answer in on that one as well. Research EV tolls when you get back to your phones and computers. In China, they're actually now creating Ubers will fly in and pick you up. And in the next few years, we'll be able to see that coming into our community as well. Council needs to support that kind of initiative as well.
Alrighty, so I've just randomised my list of names again. So, Mark, you're first up in this round. What number would you like?
I'll choose number 11, thank you.
Number 11, yes, we can do that. Okay, question AA for the battery. What is your vision for Tararua District Council over the next 3 years, and how will you ensure it aligns with the district's long-term strategy?
Yes, certainly. My vision for the next 3 years is that council is transparent, financially responsible, and focus on the basics that matter most. I want to see reliable infrastructure, stronger support for local businesses, and sustainable development that protects our environment. This aligns with the district's long-term strategy by building resilience and preparing Tararua for the future. I'll ensure every decision I support is grounded in both immediate needs and the bigger picture of where we want our district to be in not just 10 or 20, but 30 years from now.
Elizabeth, what number would you like to pick? 4. 4. Yes, we can do 4. Okay. R for Regent Street in Pahiatua. Okay. How will you work with farmers and landowners to support sustainable land management practices?
Again, I think that's it's going to require consultation with farmers, and in regards to, because that's not my area of expertise. I've got a small little property. I've done my bit to ensure that I'm planting manuka trees, etc., etc. But I think it is about you know, consulting with people who agriculture is the area of expertise, to ensure that we are being eco-friendly and caring for the environment.
And we have another button from Mark.
Sorry. I believe farmers and landowners are vital to our district. They already carry huge responsibilities. My approach would be to work with them in a common sense kind of way, not against them. It means listening to them, offering support and incentives, sharing knowledge about sustainable practices. I also think it would be a huge benefit for our council to establish a plant nursery of their own. I think, like Mr. Naylor was saying, we do have huge sections of land that could be utilised. I know for a fact that if we have one continuous area of 1 hectare that is planted in natives, we would be able to receive carbon credits for this. There's huge areas of land where we could be both reducing rates, adding to sustainability, protecting our environment, and also producing groups that could maybe help with some of the elderly or the youth to get involved in, to volunteer with, to propagate these plants, because at the moment, all of the plants, for the vast majority that are coming into our district, are costing us not hundreds of dollars, not thousands, but hundreds of thousands of dollars. Thank you.
And we have a button from Mike.
At the moment, a lot of that responsibility lies with Horizons. However, this council is proactive, and there is a fund at the moment for planting above and below slips on roads now. And I'm hoping that will continue in the years to come. Thank you.
Short and sweet to the point. All right. Peter Naylor, what number would you like?
Do you have 9 yet or not? Have we had nine yet or not?
No, we have not had 9 yet, but I can do that for you. Okay, T for Tararua. How would you balance long-term asset renewal with keeping rates manageable?
Well, a lot of the long-term assets, particularly with regards to water, are being moved out with the CCO. And so I think that, you know, we've got to look at the other long-term assets that need to be renewed within the council. So I'm for the idea of leveraging borrowings for long-term asset renewal, so that if it's an asset that's going to be used across many generations, then that means that the borrowing will allow the all generations to actually pay for that asset. So in summary, I'm against the idea of us just paying as you go, because that means that we just keep on having to fix stuff and rework it. I'd much rather see us get some funds up front, do the job once, do it properly, and then pay for it over a period of time.
And just a reminder to Hamish, Ethan and Elizabeth, feel free to use your button cards if you want to contribute to any of the points being made. Okay, so next we have Evan. What number would you like?
Still have 24.
24. Yes, we've got 24. Okay. We have J for Jones Street. Okay. What initiatives will you support to grow local businesses and create job opportunities in the ward?
Well, I mentioned this in my introduction. I'm very keen on the idea of ecotourism because we have a special attraction here. Our bush, our mountains, our rivers, our coastline. We've got some of the best in the country, and that's attractive not just to New Zealanders, but to the world. We've also got a growing number of heritage events. Northwood has the Viking Festival. This year, Eketahuna, you had Eketahuna through the ages. Thousands of people came to these things. That brings a lot of money into the district, and it gives people a chance to develop their skills and possibly develop into new occupations. If we can develop anything like that, then it's going to be good for our people, our region. Yeah.
And we have a button from Chris.
The community, the background of our community is small businesses. The farms, the district, they're all run. And we work there, we live and breathe it. We really need to focus on making sure that our local businesses are supported by council, by giving them the opportunity to get into the jobs that they need to get into. The infrastructure jobs and the other jobs, rather than contracting them out to bigger groups. We should be doing them locally. We have the expertise. We need to be using them. We really need to focus on building our local businesses and expanding what they can do. Council can come in and help with the red tape, make sure they've got guidance, anything that they fall short on to tick all the boxes. And then that will not only bring in more stuff for the businesses, but it will also bring more jobs for other people, young people, older people, everyone in our region. So it's a real big focus of mine is to get in there and make a change in it, make it easier.
And we have a button from Peter Johns.
Yep, thank you. One of the things that in the new district plan that's 99% done, we've isolated an area of land. This is by way of example, about 20 hectares just beside the new motorway, the new Te Ahu Turanga road, as an industrial site. Palmerston North is one of the major distribution points in the North Island. We're 20 minutes away. That area there could very easily become a major distribution point, not just distribution, but light industry of any sort, which creates jobs in the district, not requiring everybody to travel to Palmerston for work. That's one example of the sort of thing that is going to create additional ratepayers and jobs in the district.
And as it's in the ballot, the last person to do the button usually is the next on the list to choose the next number. So, Peter Johns.
Give me a number.
give you a number. Okay, I can give you 10. I'll give you 10. Okay. All right. A for Alfreton Road, or Alfreton, the little village. Do you support political party endorsement of local government candidates?
Not at all.
That's probably the easiest question in the bunch.
I think you get a chance to put panels for it.
I'll repeat it. Not at all.
Okay, Hamish, you've been quiet for a while. Your turn. Pick a number.
14.
14. Can I give you 14? Yes, I can. Okay, I for... I like ice cream, so let's do I for ice cream. Why not? Yep, okay. How can the council contribute to civil defence and emergency management in our area?
Boy, that was a question that was easy to come to mind. With my experience with Connect Tararua and putting in cell sites, the council's actually done a lot, or Connect Tararua's done a lot, actually getting cell sites in the right places, getting communication in there, but most importantly also making sure that we make it easy for these companies to do it. We also put caveats on them to make sure that there is decent backup. I saw examples, and we all saw examples in Gabriel where the cell sites went down because there was no backup power. That can never be allowed to happen again. So councils need to be in behind it, having planning, which they do, and actually getting in behind and getting the communities together. They've been very good at creating community champions for civil defence, and I think that would be something I would continue to push on with.
And Mike Long, what number would you like to pick?
12.
Do we have a 12? Yes, I can give you 12. Okay, F for Ford Street in Pahiatua. Okay, how will you improve communication and transparency between council and residents?
Oh, jeez. So there's an enormous amount of ways of communicating with people now. So the council is doing that right now. It's up to the people to view what's going on. And the other one is transparency. I believe that we should have less meetings, closed meetings to the public. And that's what I would advocate for. Thank you.
And we have a button from Hamish.
I personally believe that one of the great council, I'm not going to call it failings, but missed opportunities has been the lack of consistent communication or the lack of getting knowledge out there. We've seen instances where communication was put out and it left total confusion. One of the things that I think Scott's mentioned and I would support wholeheartedly is the beefing up of the communications team to make sure that someone is taking control of the social media aspect, because whether we like it or not, Facebook, it tends to be the way that people get a lot of their news. So we've got to basically take that opportunity, or more or less free service, and maximise our opportunities. As for transparency, yep, we need to make sure that we're doing it. I think Mike possibly right, the less closed meetings we have, the better. But, you know, there are times when things have got to be done. But I think the most important thing is for the council to explain, this is the decision, this is why it was made, and these are the reasons.
And just to put it out there, It's in the Ballot is streaming live right now on Facebook. So there you have it. Okay, handing it back over to Mike Long. Oh, did I ask you before? Yes, I did. Sorry. Scott. I meant to pass it over to Scott. Scott.
Is box 2 available?
2 is already taken.
Then choose another one. The next lowest number, please.
I can give you a 3.
Perfect.
Okay, 3. AB. AB for abs. Thinking about working out.
I'm struggling on that count, sorry.
Yeah. Okay. Is it fair to say Tararua District Council has deviated away from providing core services to the community?
No, I don't think that that's fair. And the reason why I say that is we're not a big, huge area that has a whole lot of nice to haves. We genuinely don't. Most of what we do, and actually almost all of what we do, are core services, and the vast majority of our expenditure is directly on infrastructure. Now, if we are going to make savings, and I was talking about it before, we have to have some more creativity with the rates that are coming in. We also, and it has come up a couple of times, about everything that gets loaded on us from central government. A key priority that I have and that I think we need to do better with is how we advocate to central government. 1, to make sure that they pay the bills for their policy, but 2, that they are funding the services that they're responsible for properly in our towns. So.
And Chris, what number would you like?
What's the highest number?
What's the highest number? 23? Yes, I can give you 23.
23.
Okay, D. Wow, okay, I realise I don't think we've got any street names starting with D. I wrote down all the street names before I started too. Drummond, okay, D for Drummond Street. Wow. Let's get you D. Okay, how willing are you to work with local hapu and iwi at a councillor level?
Absolutely. I believe they're a big part of our culture and who we are. They need to be consulted through most of our infrastructure projects, or all of our infrastructure projects, and most of our projects that we're working on. So I think, yeah, completely in support of working with the local iwi and hapu, building out better and stronger sort of connections with them.
Alrighty. And Ethan, it's time to give you a number. What number would you like?
Whatever you want.
Whatever I like. Okay. I can give you an 8. Okay. O for Olsen Street. Or O for awesome. For those that get the reference. Okay. Do you support borrowing to fund major infrastructure, or should we focus on a pay-as-you-go model?
Personally, I think a bit of borrowing is all right. You don't want to borrow for everything though, because that's when mistakes can be made quite badly. As we're a rather small district, obviously, we don't have infinite amount of money to work with projects. And I think just focusing on major infrastructure is better than multiple tasks at once. Yeah.
Now we've reached we've been in for about an hour. Normally at this point, the producer Sam over here wants us to have a break or something. Or should we keep going?
Well, I'm all right. It's more the cafe, so you're all good to go because it'll be about another 40 minutes solid.
Well, good luck with that, boys. But on my behalf, I have to leave, but you've done a awesome job.
Thanks, Evelyn.
Okay, thank you, Evelyn. Okay. We're all happy to carry on? Okay, all right. So next on my list is Mark. Mark Watson. What number would you like?
Try for 17.
Try for 17? Yeah, we can do 17.
Awesome.
Okay. Why? Why for yellow? Here we go. How do you see upcoming local government reforms such as local water done well and systems improvements impacting our rural communities?
Sure. Reforms like local water done well will have massive impacts on our rural communities. While they may bring opportunities to improve services, they also risk centralisation and maybe a loss of local control. My focus will be on protecting Tararua's voice, while in the process ensuring that any reforms deliver real improvements for rural residents, particularly in affordability, reliability and quality. I'll advocate strongly to make sure rural realities are understood, because what works in Wellington and Auckland does not necessarily work in the Tararua. Tararua deserves solutions designed for Tararua. Thank you.
Alrighty, so this is probably going to be the last box question, by the way. So if Ethan or Hamish or Elizabeth or any of you folks that haven't used their button cards would like to say anything on this particular question, feel free to do so now. All good? All right, okay, so we can pretty much go on to hard-hitting questions unless everyone wants to take a 10-minute break first, but keep going or? Good to go, all right.
answer the question, because every candidate has answered the hard-hitting questions.
Alrighty, so these are the hard-hitting questions, and this means that all the candidates have to answer the questions. They can't defer them, and I don't know why they would butt in because they all get to answer the question. But first and foremost, I just want to apologise to anyone at home that I didn't read out the question for. It's just because we're on a very tight time schedule and we just ran out of time to ask all the box questions. But okay, so with that, we're going to start off with Elizabeth on hard-hitting question number 1. Okay, would you support alternative funding models, for example, targeted rates, user pays for specific services to keep rates fair for rural property owners?
If that's what the community would agree with, I think you'd have to get the opinion of the public, who it's going to affect, if they're happy with this as a strategy to keep rates down. You can't just, yeah.
Yep, okay. Peter Johns.
That's exactly what we already do.
I'm starting to wonder if this is actually a hard-hitting question. It's an easy-hitting question at this point. Peter Naylor.
I'm open to looking at, how we allocate the rates and how they're done, but from what I understand, you pay rates for the services you receive or are available to you, at least where you're residing. But once again, I'd really like to think about how we can get alternative revenues other than rates. I know I'm harping on about this, and I've said it multiple times already today, but I believe that the best way forward is for us to start thinking differently and creatively about how we get our revenues. I'd love for Tararua District Council to be the first council in the country to reduce its rates because we've got more revenues from other areas, but still offering all the services that we need to do.
Alrighty, Scott.
Yeah, absolutely echo what Peter Johns said. This is already the model. Could we do more of it? Potentially, and that would come with consultation when we're going through our long-term plans. Looking at exactly where the costs fall and seeing who is the fairest person to be paying for it. That'll be coming through potentially fees and charges, but there's also consequences sometimes for doing that. Thinking about our rubbish tip fees, that has certainly gone up with user pays. It's actually still heavily subsidised by general rates, by the way. But the consequence of that could be more fly tipping, which then adds in an extra council expense of having to clean it up. So we've got to be sensible when we're doing it. We need to be looking at how we how we provide all of our services and working with our community to figure out the best way of paying for it.
And Ethan.
No, pretty simple answer. Just, I'm pretty keen to support alternative fundings for the council, just so it doesn't hit everyone in the community and everyone can just have a little bit more money to spend elsewhere.
Alrighty. Chris.
So again, I do support the model. I believe in user pays to making it fair for everyone. There is a big part where we're getting charged now for a lot that has happened or hasn't happened in the past, but things are now catching up with us. And we really need to focus on making sure that we're really strict on how we spend our money and that we try to cut back and make some savings. And sadly, rates are where we get the funding from for council, so that's how everything gets done in our area.
Alrighty. Who have I got now? Mike.
I'm a great fan of alternative funding, particularly from the government. And to be fair, they do fund a lot of things in Tararua now. I've been an advocate for water meters, and the reason being is there's a number of people there that use a lot less water than others. When the meters go in, they will be paying a lot less. And there's a user pay system. Thank you.
Mark?
Yes, I am definitely in support of alternative funding methods and encourage them highly. As long as they're fair and transparent, rural residents are often paying a lot for the services that maybe they're not actually using themselves. Options like targeted rates and user pays for specific services, they could work if the costs and services, if everything was spread fairly. Any model though that we go by, it must be carefully designed to create, so it doesn't create new inequities. The guiding principle should always be fairness, making sure rural communities aren't carrying an unreasonable share of the burden while still ensuring essential services are provided.
Evan?
Targeted rates have been used before for the local town upgrades and have worked quite well, but I'd be very, very wary of user pays. It sounds like a good idea, but when so many of our people, 34% according to the council's own figures, are high deprivation, that means people like superannuitants, an extra charge on a limited income is going to screw people. We had Scott mentioning dump fees. We have so much trouble with people just dumping rubbish because they cannot afford to pay the fee. Not when they had to pay a power bill or buy food or pay a doctor's bill instead. We need alternative funding. And one of the things I'd be looking at working with is with the local government association that represents all councils and getting them to head approach by all councils, plus calling on public support to get a nationwide going to the government to ask for revenue sharing, because they are pocketing far more money than they need, especially if they're devolving more and more services onto us.
Hamish?
Rating or payment to run the districts is the great conundrum, you know. Do you put rates up, do you not? I think targeted rates are a good idea, because at the end of the day, the South Ward doesn't want to be paying for things in the North Ward and vice versa. Water meters, yep, I think Mike Long's hit the nail on the head that, you know, you should pay for what you use. But I do caution the one word is that if we bring in with water meters coming in, then our general rates in theory should go down. But if they don't go down, my next question is, can we use that money to pay back debt, or not just use it for more services, but to actually get things done? So in answer to the question, targeted rates are a good idea, but, you know, let's make sure that we are fair about it.
Now, did I miss one of the Peters by any chance? With this question, you both asked us?
They were both answered.
Excellent. Okay, just double checking. Sorry?
They were after each other.
Yeah, they were. Okay, hard-hitting question number 2. Starting with Ethan. Are you comfortable with the way the council manages its debt position?
I'm going to be completely honest here. I haven't really looked into it, so yeah, I don't want to go into it too much because I wouldn't know what I'm talking about.
I like that. That's very honest. Scott?
Yes and no. Debt is a really concerning thing. However, we need to make sure that high cost things are spread intergenerationally. So people that have the best use of it aren't having to pay right up front, because if they did that, rates would be completely unaffordable. If there's 20 or 30 or 40 or 50 years worth of benefit, that cost should be spread over the people that are benefiting from it. However, I do think that we have to be incredibly careful with debt. We monitor our debt headroom, and I've got to say it's one of the scariest things that I see in council when we start moving towards it, because we have to remember that every single dollar that we borrow, we have to pay back. But not only that, the interest costs become absolutely crippling. So yes and no.
Alrighty. Mike.
Sorry?
I'm comfortable with the way the council manages its debt. However, I'm disappointed in our debt that we have. So I'd like to see it reduce. Thank you.
Now it's your turn, Mark.
Thank you. Yeah, I believe debt can be a useful tool if it's managed correctly. I think we should only be really using it though for major infrastructure projects that provide long-term value, such as water systems or bridges, the assets that last us generations. I don't support borrowing for day-to-day spending. I don't think that really works for anyone. As far as the quick fixes, it just pushes those problems onto the next generation. Council's debt position, I think, should be scrutinised closely. I would always advocate for prudent, cautious financial management. Thank you.
Evan.
I'd be wanting to look at how they manage debt, because sometimes I don't think we're going about it the right way. Again, council figures, something called smoothing the rates. 3 options: no smoothing, 2, spread it over 3 years, over 6 years. Sometimes it might be better to take a big hit straight up. The no smoothing was predicting a big rate rise in year 1, and then lesser rises after that. The one the council was recommending, spreading it over 6 years, was going to cost an extra $645,000 in interest, plus necessitate a $2 million loan. That actually hurts a lot more in the long run.
Elizabeth.
Well, I think according to the council 10-year plan at this stage, where the debt is actually within manageable. I think it's 1.75 times its revenue at the moment. I wouldn't want to be borrowing much more because with interest rates being as they are, and yeah, I think it's something that the council needs to be quite careful with their budget and what they're spending it on.
Peter Johns, forgive me.
Yes, we're currently under our debt ceiling limit. It's been covered by others. The fact of the matter is that we would never get the infrastructure that we've got had we not borrowed to do so. And that's been happening for 100 years, and that will continue to happen. It's a little bit like people buying a house. If they had to save the money to go out and buy the $700,000 or $800,000 house, they'd probably never get there. They get the deposit and then they pay off the balance over 30 years or whatever the length of time. Council is no different. It's just a reality of life. If you want things done, if you want water and you want to get rid of your toilet waste and you want roads sealed or potholes filled, well, it's not necessarily potholes, but if you want roads sealed, for instance, you need to borrow money. And as long as we keep within our debt limits, we're okay.
Chris.
Yeah, so in the past few weeks, I've been studying a lot on how the council has been managing debt, how much they've been spending and what they've been spending it on. I think there's a lot to be looked at into how they actually spend money, and I think we need to really make sure there's accountability to everything they're trying to do. Because if we don't need to spend the money, maybe we shouldn't. It's a big part to spend money and get infrastructure and have things in place. But we really need to focus on clearing our debt as well. Because by clearing our debt is the only way we can even start looking at making the rates manageable, because the increases over the next number of years are looking significant. So, yeah.
Peter Naylor.
From everything I've seen, looking through the information that I've had available, I'm comfortable with the current level of debt and how they manage it.
Alrighty, that was very short and to the point. I don't even think Sam got the time to put your name up.
I actually got the name.
You got the name.
As soon as you finished, it was like, oh, just not everything else this time.
Alrighty, Hamish.
Currently, I'm comfortable with the way the debt is, but I'm also pragmatic that if we can get rid of the debt or lower the debt, every dollar of interest that we don't have to pay is money that can either be spent or stopping rates rises. I think you've just got to be pragmatic about it and say it's part of it. My biggest worry would be to make sure that we don't have debt which we've borrowed on an asset and the asset has to be replaced and we haven't paid off the debt first. So the two should be in balance. So in other words, if you've got an asset that lasts 20 years, then the debt shouldn't be more than 19 years in my mind. Thank you.
All right, this is the last hard-hitting question, and my mother is in the front giving me that look, telling me to, come on. So, yes, don't worry, we're getting there. We're almost there. Okay, starting with Mike. What is your position on retaining Tararua District Council's Tamaki Nui Aroa Māori Ward and the Horizons Regional Council's Tonga Māori constituency, and why do you hold that position?
I don't advocate for either Maori wards. I believe that we're all equal. The rates are paid by everybody. At the moment, both iwi have a say in the long-term plan with the council, and also both iwi are consulted on just about every major issue in the council. Thank you.
All right, Scott.
Thanks very much. I do support both Māori wards, and one of the reasons for that is I think that having the voices at the table makes a real difference to the decision making that we get. It is still democratic. Those councillors still have to stand for election and be voted in and be elected. No one's being appointed to those roles. I know from having our Māori ward councillor on our council, Naoma, when she speaks, she adds a different perspective into our decision making, which is incredibly powerful. One thing I want to note as well is that in our district, Māori make up around 29% of our population. They have been, since the district was formed, hugely underrepresented, which is not democratic in my opinion. So I do support the wards.
Chris.
Yeah, I too do support the wards. I believe that we do need the voice. We need the voice of our Māori and our cultural people in iwi to be heard. And without that, we're really falling away from who we are. Yeah, I don't believe that removing the wards would make a beneficial change to our district. I really do think they need a voice. Yeah.
Mark.
Yes, I strongly support both of the Māori wards. I believe they help strengthen our relationships with iwi, ensuring cultural values, history and long-term stewardships, apologies, are part of every major decision. It's not about dividing communities. It's about building trust, inclusivity, and better outcomes for all. Recognising Māori voices makes our council stronger and more balanced. Thank you.
Ethan.
Yeah, I'm just going to back up what Scott and Mark have said down there. I think this decision coming in this next election is going to be whether or not we as a community decide to head forwards into the future or go backwards. I strongly agree with Māori wards, and I feel that they are a necessity in this country. As Scott said, Māori have been underrepresented for years, since the Europeans have been here pretty much. And yeah, it upholds partnership, and it also strengthens not only our district, but just democracy as a whole. So everyone's getting their voice heard, and I think that's the way we should be heading forwards.
Hamish.
In an ideal world, we wouldn't have to have them, but the Maori wards bring so much, and the Maori perspective brings so much to us, that it would be absolutely stupid not to take advantage of that knowledge and wisdom. It just beggars belief that someone even thinks that we shouldn't have them. But as I said, in an ideal world, it'd be one man, one vote, or one woman, one vote, or one person, one vote. But if this is the way that we get the 5% of the population to engage, then let's get it, let's use it. I think with the knowledge there, we're stupid not to take advantage of it. So yes, I thoroughly support it.
All right, Peter Naylor.
I support the wards. I think that from what I understand and what I've heard, that it has worked well for Tararua District to have a Maori representative. I don't know about the Horizons one, but I think it seems to be good. I talked earlier about a citizens' assembly being made up for consultation and other things, and a citizens' assembly would actually require 29% of the people on that citizens' assembly to be Maori, so that we'd actually get a much greater engagement. And that's why I'm advocating things like citizens' assembly and or collective intelligence processes to actually get a much wider community engagement. So I think that we need not just to have the people represented on the council, but we need to be engaging with the community a lot more, and that's one way that we could do it.
Peter Johns.
2 councils ago, when the decision to form a Maori ward was made, I was the only councillor to oppose it. Since then, for slightly different reasons than might be apparent, but subsequently, I'm all for it. As Scott has mentioned, Naomi Chase has done a great job in her role as the current Maori councillor, and you can forget about the one person, one vote idea. That sounds good. And in most cases it is good, but it's not necessarily the best way, and certainly in our situation in New Zealand currently, it is not the best way, and I certainly support the continuation of the Maori wards.
Evan.
I very strongly support the Māori wards as well. As we've heard, the Māori make up our single largest minority. If we have first past the post, as we have now, in the 36-year history of the Tararua District, there have only ever been 2 Māori voted into council. If we want to build trust, we've got to have them at the table to show that we value them. There's a big difference between being at the table as an equal and coming cap in hand just to make a submission. Also, having Māori at the table ensures it forces the council to have a different perspective, because for too long, the council has all been the same sort of people. And we get a lot of wrong decision making because the same people cannot see a problem from a different angle. We need different people to be able to look at a problem from different angles to come up with the best possible solutions.
And last and not least, Elizabeth.
Yeah, I support Māori wards. I think it strengthens the relationship with council and iwi. Māori are guardians of the land, and I think a healthy land means healthy people.
Okay, now we're at that fun bit of the show, closing statements. I'll start off with Mark.
Of course. That was lucky. First of all, I will apologise for reading from my notes. My wife Alex is a teacher at Tararua College. I had to make sure I did all of my homework. I will though continue to do every little bit of research that I need to if I am lucky enough to be elected to council. It's something I take really seriously, learning from both sides of an argument, listening and being respectful. Yeah, thank you. And yeah, thank you for coming along and thanks.
Mike, for your closing statement.
First of all, thank you for everybody for listening and also for being here today. When I got on council, I was told it takes 3 years to learn what it's all about, and that person was correct. And that's part of the reason why I'm standing now again, is because I've spent 3 years gaining knowledge, and it would be a shame to not stand again. So appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Scott.
Thanks very much. It has been an absolute honour to serve as one of your councillors for the last 3 years, and I ask for your support for another 3 years. Over that period, I have worked really hard on financial performance. I've worked really hard on transparency. I've worked really hard on openness. Now, one thing that I do want to talk about, though, is council is not an individual sport. Council is a team sport. To achieve anything, we have to do it together. You have some great candidates sitting up here today. I encourage you, choose your team. You get your votes, choose your team of who you want to represent you in council, and make sure you vote. And then next to that, because our voting stats are absolutely dismal, don't just vote yourself, make sure that your family vote, make sure that your neighbours vote, get out there, select your team, because we are the ones that will be sending your voice to the council table. Thank you.
Hamish.
It was once said to me, or I was reminded, that windscreens are bigger than rear vision mirrors. And the reason I say that is that you want to elect a forward-looking council, as Scott's just alluded to. You pick your team, but also get out and vote. Make sure your friends, your neighbours, your family get out and vote, because there's nothing worse than having a situation where I hear people moan about the council does this or the government does that, and I ask a simple question: did you vote? No. Well, then really you can't moan. So if you elect me, remember I'll be looking forward, not backward. I'll be looking for pragmatic results or positions. And I don't claim to know everything, but my answer to that is what I don't know, I'll do my best to find out and work hard for you. Thank you.
And remember, ladies and gentlemen, if you vote, you get to complain. Yes. Okay, Ethan.
Firstly, when I got this invitation, heard it from a game show. I actually just searched up what that game show was because it was a bit before my time. Yeah, I'll be the youngest one on here by easily 10 years. But hey, it's a step up for me. Something I've enjoyed the journey so far of doing. Obviously, yeah, just echoing both Scott's and Hamish's comments. Get out there and vote. I'm 18. I'm first time eligible to vote this year, but unfortunately no one I attend school with or am friends with in my age are even enrolled to vote. Don't find it interesting. Don't be one of those people, please. get involved in our democracy, be the voice to the changes, and yeah, thanks for having me, guys. I've really enjoyed it.
And I'd just like to say, on behalf of It's in the Ballot and myself, it is so encouraging to see young people stand up for democracy. It's so important what you're doing, and I commend you for doing that. Okay, Evan.
Democracy only works with the involvement of the people. That means you have to vote. If you think the council's not going the way it should be, then it's up to you to change it. If you keep voting for the same people, don't expect change, because the same people can't deliver change. They never have, they never will. We now have a choice. I believe I can help make that choice. I believe I can help with whatever we need. I listen, I can ask questions. I know how to look at a bank statement, accounts, and understand them and what they mean. We need a range of different skills, different people, different interests, and I'm offering them. So I give you two choices. Vote Evan for Mayor and vote Evan for the South Ward. Thank you.
All right, Peter Naylor.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity to talk today. As you've heard me mention, I'm keen to look at alternative ways of raising revenue other than just rates. I'm definitely big on community engagement. I'd love to see us getting the community a lot more involved so that it's not just your vote. You know, you vote now and you're stuck with me for 3 years if you happen to vote for me. You know, I want to be involved with you through the journey of the 3 years so that when we get to this time next year, you know who I am and you've talked to me at some stage. 1 minute to answer these questions is really, really short. And so I've created a website. It's simple to remember, peternaylor.nz. You put /25 on it, and you've got some of my ideas that I've been talking about up there. And I intend to publish my answers to all the questions there for you to have a look at. And you can also follow me on Facebook, Peter Naylor for Council.
All right, Peter Johns.
No, thank you all for coming tonight, and for those that are watching on elsewhere. I guess I'd just like to reiterate virtually all the comments made by all the others. It's great to see a good turnout of candidates this time. It's the most we've ever had, I think, since there's been the Tararua district. I stand to be corrected on that. But good luck to everybody. And as the others have said, make sure you vote. Without that, this is all a waste of time.
Chris.
Yeah, thank you to It's in the Ballot for coming to Eketahuna. It's probably one of our smaller towns in the country. But yeah, welcome along, and thank you. I'm a big supporter of our community. I want to see it grow. I love it. I'm involved with as much as I can be. Sometimes a bit too much. It's a downside, I guess. But you know, I really want to see everyone's voice get across, everyone get heard, and give everyone the opportunity to really feel like there has been a change in the council. Things that they really enjoy the right, that really gets heard and seen, and we hopefully can start to put things in place to make it better. So yeah, I really do want to see this place grow. I want to see it grow. We've got a lot here. So, thank you all for coming, and make sure you vote.
And last and not least, Elizabeth.
Okay, so I want to actually apologise for being a little bit unprepared today. I've spent the last 2 days with sick kids. They are my priority. They are why I'm here. I'm here for their future. My expertise is probably very different to all these gentlemen sitting here. In fact, I would, if I got in, I'd have to do a lot of homework, but I think I am capable. And I, as a nurse, I'm an honest, I'm transparent, And I think there's attributes of a councillor as well.
And I did notice too that you are the only woman that's up here tonight. So I want to commend you for that, because it's great to see women involved in local body politics. It's not easy, and I commend you for that. Okay, so I'm going to keep my segment very short because I know that people are getting a bit tired. We've been going for almost 2 hours now. But thank you so much for the audience for coming tonight. This is a volunteer-run project, so we go pretty much up and down the North Island and we do shows like this. I'm not paid to do this, neither is Sam. So we rely purely on donations. I just want to say thank you so much to the community here for submitting their questions. They were fantastic questions. I'm so sorry I didn't get to ask all of them. I really wanted to, but we just ran out of time. But, you know, it's the likes of what Peter Naylor just said. They'll post their answers to their questions online, which is great. We encourage all the candidates to do that. And we also encourage people to talk to the candidates too after the show. And we didn't do an intermission because we were tight for time, but during the intermission as well, we would have said, please mingle, go talk to the candidates about the questions and the answers that they gave. So on behalf of Nits and the Ballot, it's been an absolute honour and privilege and pleasure to do the show here in Eketahuna. This is my hometown, so I'm actually going to be voting. And thank you so much.